Hi gang, thanks for stopping by for the first ever Mr. Ed Draws graphics, and I'll be demonstrating some of the graphics that I use in my videos and on my channel and how I make those and get there from my dry erase and ink sketches. So let's get started, and I just want to give you a little background into what this show will be about. I take a photograph of my dry erase sketches before I erase them, and I put it in Photoshop and crop it and try to adjust the contrast so I get as much of pure white and pure black as I can get, and then I take that into Adobe Illustrator and I can manipulate it and come up with images like those. So here I've got CS2 Adobe Illustrator open here, and I've imported the JPEG rendering from Photoshop of a dry erase art that I did earlier, and I've reduced the size of it so that when I manipulate it, things will go a little bit faster, but you can keep it the original size. It just takes a lot longer to render some of the effects. So the first thing I do is rasterize this, transparent. That's not always necessary if it's nice and square, but if you have something that's kind of angular, you're going to want to transparent that. And then the next thing I do is make and expand, and even on an image I think is 800 pixels in width, it takes a little while to render even a small image like that. And if you're not real familiar with Adobe Illustrator, what it's doing is it's just going in and it's methodically clicking on spots and seeing how much of it can fill, and then it renders that shape in a vector, and then it collects all those vectors in an array, and then you can manipulate those in various ways. So I've selected out or I haven't yet, but I am going to select out the background, which will be the white in this case. I call it the background, but really white is used in a lot of the foreground, and so I start with the sky because it's usually the largest part that delineates one color from the next, and it's usually white. So I'll select the white, and now I want to select everything that is white. Oh yeah, I had another one that I had done already off to the side, so I had to lock it out so I wasn't selecting it as well, because I just want to keep it the same and I want to manipulate the one on the right. So I've locked out the image on the left, which is actually on my workspace, and here I'm going to select the sky, which is the biggest chunk of white I can find, and now select everything else that's the same color white, and then now I can kind of manipulate just that part with different colors. And you can do like a static color like I have there. Trying to figure out what I'm doing here. Oh, I'm trying to select everything again. Yeah, I didn't. Kind of have to group it, I guess. Oh no, I remember what it did. I erased it. I erased the background in the one on the right. I should have written this down probably. Well, this is the first show, so you know it's going to go rough. So anyway, just demonstrating that I've erased the background there, probably because I knew I'd forget I'd done that when I go to narrating this. I can't narrate and do this at the same time, so I tape this and then narrate afterward, and I try to remember everything I've done. So here I've kind of extended that process. I've selected the black and have manipulated it, and I added a gradient. You can see a gray, and then I adjusted the direction of the gradient with the gradient tool, and I kind of want to add well, you saw the image at the beginning of the video with the yellow going to purple, kind of like sunset colors. So here I am, I have the gradient window open, and I'm just sliding over the colors going from yellow to red, which is pretty easy in the CMYK palette. And then once you get to red, kind of move over to purple, and then take out that black, drop a purple on it. If the pine trees and the rocks and foregrounds are black, then I kind of leave black out of the gradient because I want to keep this really stark delineation between what's the background and what's the foreground, I guess, or at least keep it separate between these two different colors or palettes. So now I've selected the background in this one on the left still exists, so I'm just taking the dropper tool and I'm going to select that gradient and see how it looks with the black pine trees on front. You can see it creates a really interesting texture. The one on the left is outlined in white. There's a really thin white outline, I think, and then the one on the right, there's no outline. It kind of gives you an idea of how you can play around with these two and get them to work together. I've tried all kinds of different color mixtures, and I've posted some of those as thumbnails. And I really like this radial gradient, and since the background is actually kind of different chunks all collected together, the gradient is applied to each one of those chunks. So you can see the beginning of this radial gradient is yellow, so you'll see this yellow spotlight kind of thing all over the place in the background selection. And that once I unselect it and move everything around so you can see what's going on, you'll be able to see what's going on. So there's another thing that I really love to do, and you'll see it a lot in my artwork because I just think it looks neat. It's kind of an embossing technique where you use the drop shadow and apply it to this cutout foreground, and it'll lay over the cutout background, and it just creates this really nice wispy kind of charcoal-y effect, especially when you're using black as your primary and you're dropping shadow underneath black. But if you take out the black and you use white, now it looks like it's cut out of paper, which I really enjoy that effect, and you'll see it a lot. So I wanted to show you how to do that if you're interested in seeing it in the first show of Mr. Ed Draws Graphics. So here I'm playing around with it a little bit, and I think I put a thin layer of black on the margins of the foreground selection so that it kind of sticks out a little bit more, and I think that works really nice. I like that. Yep, I think that's worth saving. I saved this as an Illustrator file so I can come back and play around with it some more, so you might see some more things that I do later on in another show of Mr. Ed Draws Graphics, and I really appreciate you stopping by. So, what do you think? First show of Mr. Ed Draws Graphics. If you like it, let me know. Click the like button. If you have any ideas, or if you give this a try, which I would really love if you would give it a try, let me know in the comments below. I would love to check out your work. And thanks for stopping by and supporting Mr. Ed Draws. I really appreciate it. And we have YouTube's picks here. If you haven't subscribed yet, click my face. And I have 48 episodes from Season 1 and Season 2 for you to check out if you haven't. So if you really enjoy my work, that's available to you. Also, you can find more on Facebook, Instagram, and Reddit. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye.